April 2025, a peaceful tourist town in Kashmir turned into a nightmare.
28 people are reported to have been killed after gunmen opened fire on tourists in Indian-administered Kashmir.
Why would they do that?
A group of armed terrorists stopped travelers and began asking one terrifying question. Are you Hindu?
Why did they do that? Why do people fight? You know, you remember that song? We didn't start a fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning.
Or Muslim? If the
Huh. That sounds a lot like terrorism to me. And then
that's, well, yeah. One man's freedom fighter, other man's terrorist, or one man's terrorist, other man's freedom fighter. Really depends position you're looking that from, you know, from where you are, where you're positioned with regards to the barrel of that gun.
they shoot them if they say that they're not like the right one.
Answer didn't match. They opened fire.
Right.
26 innocent tourists were killed.
Well, you know, now we're going into categorization. Innocent, tourists. This is all questionable. There are no innocent person, first of all. We are all guilty of something. That's first. Second, are you sure they were all tourists? You know, huh?
One woman crying over her husband's body.
See, this is one of the big differences that a lot of people don't really understand.
Yeah, that's what women do. You know, they go cry. Well, you know, women.
That the difference between a war and terrorism is that these terrorists actively target civilians.
Terrorist is a poor man's soldier. So terrorism is a poor country's war. You know, they could not afford tanks and airplanes, but they could afford guns. So, and then you are looking on that from the side, and they say, "Oh, they are not doing it with planes and tanks, so they are terrorists." It's just a skewed view, man.
And they kill civilians specifically. They don't go in trying to attack a military base and civilians get killed in the process.
What's going on with you, man? Are you stupid? You're going to... would you attack a military base? Those people in there are armed. And they have pretty good armaments as well. They're going to kick your ass. You go after a soft target.
They don't, you know, like, they don't try to bomb a place where there are a military area and there's casualties of, like, collateral damage. These people actively target civilians. They do. They actively target them.
Begged the attackers to
they're
shoot
looking for
her
easy
too.
wins. Yeah, it's like in Rust, where, like, you're sitting out there on the beach ready to shoot some new person.
Terrorists laughed.
Now, it's a very American skewed point of view. You don't understand. There are two societies where one society see the other as completely as endangering them. So they just want to wipe them out. There's no point of view like military, civilians. You from comfort of your armchair could afford kind of taking that type of views. But he, in his reality, has a different point of view.
Telling her to go tell India's prime minister. Since that moment, India's people are furious. The
Yeah, I would
army
be too.
is on alert. Pakistan is getting nervous. And now the big question is...
Well, why would Pakistan be nervous? Shouldn't Pakistan use their own military to find out where these insurgency terrorist groups are and get rid of them themselves?
Naivete to maximum. Oh my God. Those terrorists are actually employed by Pakistan, as I just explained, as they poor country's army.
Because, like, if they have a terrorist group in their country, isn't that a problem for Pakistan? And if that's not a problem for Pakistan, then that sounds like Pakistan is a problem. That's what I would say. That's their responsibility.
Is the next war loading in 2025? Let's go back, see how it all began.
What is this?
Of independence in 1947, British India divided into two separate.
And there we go. They started it all.
India, which had a Hindu majority population, Pakistan, created as a homeland for Muslims. But the split wasn't as clean as drawing a line on a map. It was violent, brutal, and deeply personal. Over 15 million people were forced to move. Muslims from India to Pakistan, and Hindus and Sikhs from Pakistan to India. Entire families uprooted. Trains filled with refugees arrived.
Why is Britain over there fucking... Why are they playing Civilization over in India?
Why are they playing Civilization in North America? Why are they playing Civilization all over the globe? Because they can.
Spices?
Spice must flow. That's correct.
This is why, by the way, this is why a lot of the world hates the West.
It's only that at that time, West was on top dog. So all the underdogs, not so appreciative of being underdog position. If it was different, like if East was top dog, everybody would hate the East. It's irrelevant who's on top position. Somebody is, and there you go.
It's because of bullshit like this. This is a country that they're not even next to. They're in a totally different fucking place. And now they're trying to play fucking, I don't know, civilization, playing Risk with this country. It's insane.
No, that's...
The spice must flow, I guess so.
It's not insane. It's just natural. That's the way it is. That's how the world is. Crazy, crazy world.
But I just want you guys to see, this is the reason, and by the way, it doesn't excuse terrorism. Obviously, it doesn't excuse terrorism. It doesn't excuse this to happen. But, like, if you're in one of these countries and your family got displaced, yeah, I wouldn't like Britain either.
Slaughtered. Neighborhood.
You mean like the Brits introduced Jews to Palestine when they had to leave from there?
That had coexisted for centuries turned on each other overnight. It became one of...
So just like in Palestine and Israel, they just turned against each other. By whom? Oops.
The biggest and bloodiest migrations in human history, with over 1 million people dead. Wow. That trauma didn't just vanish. It turned into resentment, and the cracks only got deeper. One of the biggest cracks, a paradise called...
Aren't they mad at Britain? Because I feel like Britain is the one...
Yeah, well, that's kind of short-sighted, man. They should be really mad at God, you know. It's the world how God created. And if something's wrong with it, God is to be blamed.
that did this, not even Pakistan and India.
Kashmir was, and still is, one of the most breathtaking places in the world.
That's a really nice place.
Peaks, peaceful lakes,
wow,
lush green valleys, a literal heaven on earth.
They're too
but
far
politically,
away.
It's been a hell. When the British left, they gave over 560 princely states like Kashmir a choice.
Yeah, like Indians were like, oh, we want independence. And Brits were saying, no, we want independence. And Brits were saying, you can't do that. You don't know how to do it. We want independence. Okay, okay. We're going to give you your independence. But now you'll have a Pakistan to deal with. Go ahead and enjoy yourselves. So now they're enjoying themselves.
Join India, join Pakistan, or stay independent. The ruler of Kashmir, Maharaja Hari Singh, was a Hindu, but most of the people in Kashmir were Muslim. The Maharaja wanted to stay independent, not join either India or Pakistan. But then, in October 1947, tribal militias from Pakistan, backed by its army, launched an invasion into Kashmir to force it into Pakistan. In panic,
well, I mean, that's pretty one-sided, isn't it?
The Maharaja turned to India for help. India agreed, but on one condition: Kashmir must officially become part of India.
I'm kind of wondering how come Pakistan could not afford better military and has to use terrorists. Aren't they getting this regular $2 billion support from US? So, you know, I don't know if you are aware of that, but US keeps supplying Pakistan with kind of military financing in billions, if I remember correctly. And also, if I remember correctly, the reason is that India is buying Russian armaments. So US military industrial sector is not happy about that, but luckily there's Pakistan whom we could support. Beautiful.
The Maharaja signed the instrument of accession, legally joining Kashmir to India. And Indian troops flew in to push back the attack.
Want to blame Britain now? Yeah, of course, because Britain are the ones that started this.
We didn't start a fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning.
Just because Britain isn't responsible for every action along the chain doesn't mean that Britain didn't light the fuse.
Just like that, the First Indo-Pak War began. That war ended in 1948. Ceasefire brokered by the United Nations.
And also, it doesn't mean Pakistan is... Look, it doesn't mean Pakistan is good. Like, obviously, I mean, these people are... They're awful terrorists, right? That are, like, going in here and killing, like, civilians. Yeah, not everybody in Pakistan, obviously, before somebody tries to take that out of context again. But, like, the people that are going in and forcing these military insurgency groups, they're awful people. They're terrible. They're terrorists. Of course. But if you...
Are you sure? Those are people. You know, ordinary people with ordinary parents, kids, everything else is just, you know, they are in extraordinary circumstances that actually force them to cut corners and do things in their way, you know. So, but from your point of view, they're awful. From their point of view, they're just trying to stay alive and protect their own population and their own side. That, unfortunately, yeah, that's the way it is.
Can't see the downstream effect of this nation building and imperialism and how this creates these structural problems, I don't know what to tell you. Two things can be wrong at the same time.
Yeah, that's correct.
And, like, do you know what I'm saying? Not just Britain. Do you know how, like, I've criticized, like, Hassan, for example, for not being able to, like, acknowledge that, you know, there are bad actors on both sides? I think that we're doing the same thing by not acknowledging that Britain was also a bad actor in this situation as well.
So
I think we're doing the same thing. We shouldn't do that.
Yes, yes. Interesting. If you know that about that military support Pakistan getting from US, I wonder what would you say on that? Would you still be blaming Britain?
Look, here's my point. I think that the amount of imperialism and the amount of oversight that foreign countries do on countries that do not have the same race, culture, traditions, or religion as them, making decisions for them, enforcing their will on these countries, I think this is a recipe for disaster. It is, and I think historically, this can be proven in so many cases.
Well, if I remember correctly, one of the first historical records that we have from Peloponnese War in ancient Hellenic countries, Hellenic city-states, was basically saying the powerful do what they want and the weak suffer what they must. Nothing new under the heaven.
And I think a lot of the current conflicts that we have right now are the result of that happening. So I don't see how you can ignore that. I don't see how you can say that's not happening. You don't lose anything by acknowledging that this is true. It doesn't mean that the West is evil or the West is bad. It just means that maybe we shouldn't meddle in people's affairs so much, and then maybe it wouldn't create these problems that happen down the line.
Well, in a way, you are right, but on the other hand, if the situation is reversed, are you sure they wouldn't meddle in your affairs?
It's not unreasonable to think that way. There's nothing that's unreasonable about this at all. If you're going around and you're fucking taking over countries and then trying to make decisions for them, you're going to have problems.
For example, pretty soon when Muslims become majority in France, they might easily vote for a Sharia law to be imposed. That's very soon to be seen.
I don't know what to say.
That war ended in 1948.
Okay, that was pretty
with
fast.
a ceasefire brokered by the United Nations.
Anyway.
But the damage was done. Kashmir was now divided. India controlled about 2/3 of the region. Pakistan controlled the rest, which it still holds today as POK, or Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, POK. The UN called for a referendum to let the people of Kashmir decide their future, but that vote never happened. And since
What a surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
That sucks.
Since then, Kashmir has remained the bone of contention in every major conflict between the two nations. India and Pakistan have fought 4 wars in total. 1947 to 48, the first war, right after partition over Kashmir.
It's about to be 5.
1965, another full-scale war,
Holy
again
shit.
over Kashmir. 1971, the most devastating war, but this time not about Kashmir. It was about East Pakistan, where India supported the independence movement that eventually created Bangladesh. 1990.
Now that was a really master stroke, actually by Brits, to actually put India in between 2 parts of a Muslim Pakistan. Hammer and anvil. Yeah, just ancient.
1999 Kargil War.
Wow.
Pakistani soldiers and militants,
I didn't even know about this.
disguised as locals, infiltrated Indian territory in the Kargil region. India launched a massive counterattack operation and pushed them back.
Wow.
In each of these wars, India emerged stronger militarily.
India is big. Russia's big. US big. So they could do what they want, and little nations have to suffer what they must. Da-da-da.
But the cycle of hatred and mistrust never broke. And when war didn't work, Pakistan tried something else. By the early 2000s, a new kind of war had begun. A shadow war. Terrorism became the weapon of choice.
It does seem like, I mean, again, this video could be biased, but from the way the video is prescribing this, it seems like Pakistan is the aggressor in every single one of these instances.
No, you could not blame any side. Everybody's just trying to, stay alive, to survive, make best for himself. There is no good and bad. There's no good and bad. We are beyond good and bad, as Nietzsche used to be saying famously. Good and bad are so relative. What's good for you might be bad for me. What's good for me might be bad for you. So if you say this is good, whether I'm going to agree with you or not really depends on my point of view. So you kind of just throwing these, this is good, this is bad, he is good, he's bad. That's so shallow.
That they're the ones that are starting at every single one.
Instead of soldiers crossing the borders with tanks, militants
The video could be biased. It's important to keep in mind.
crossed quietly with backpacks,
guns,
and suicide vests. Attacks on civilians became a tool to destabilize India, especially in Kashmir. One of the most horrific examples, Mumbai, 26/11. On the night of November 26, 2008, 10 terrorists from Pakistan arrived by boat on the shores of Mumbai, armed with AK-47s, grenades, and explosives. They split into teams and launched simultaneous attacks across the city. The Taj Mahal Hotel, the Oberoi Trident Hotel, Cafe Leopold, a Jewish community center, Shivaji train station. For nearly 60 hours, Mumbai turned into a war zone. More than 170 people died, including American, Israeli, and British citizens. Over 300 were injured. The only surviving attacker, Ajmal Kasab, was captured alive. His interrogation revealed detailed planning and training, all traced back to Pakistan-based terror group Lashkar-e-Taiba.
And financed by Pentagon.
Then Wama in 2019, a suicide bomber rammed a vehicle full of explosives into a convoy of Indian paramilitary forces.
So it's just every time. I mean, why can't Pakistan keep these people under control?
Why can't fishes live together? Get together, You have different fishes in aquarium, and one type of fishes are eating the other type of fishes. So why can't fishes get together? That's the natural order of things. Well, enough of me playing smart over here. That was enough this time. Catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.